You might find this funny, but Trump woke up again this morning. Yeah, he woke up, I'm sorry, and was ranting and raving on Truth Social about his pardon he just gave to Henry Cuellar and his wife, the former congressman from Texas, and admitted something major, that he does expect something in return for his pardons. He's just coming out and saying it now. He says he demands loyalty for his pardons. And Henry Cuellar lacks loyalty, according to him, because as soon as he got pardoned, he went and filed paperwork to run for Congress again in Texas and running as a Democrat. This has Trump furious. Trump says he pardoned Cuellar because his daughters wrote him a letter asking him to, and looked at Cuellar's background and saw that he did support border security and wants to limit migration into this country, and they're actually aligned on a number of topics, so he thought it was a good idea. But then it totally backfired on him, like many of these pardons have. And now Cuellar is going to run as a Democrat in Texas and potentially take a red seat away from him. And I just want to remind everyone, Cuellar and his wife were arrested for taking bribes and conspiracy, and they were taking $600,000 of money from two foreign entities, like a bank in Mexico and an oil and gas company from another country. So they had committed serious crimes, but apparently those are the types of crimes you need to commit to get a pardon from Trump these days. So let me know what you guys think about all this. Comment, like, share, spread the word, follow, subscribe, and I'll see you back here for the 411.
Well, here's some news, and it's just terrible. It's being reported by the Bulwark that the Orange Buffoon is considering firing Ice Barbie Kristi Noem. It says President Donald Trump is reportedly considering a move to get rid of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem and potentially replace her with a soon-to-be former governor. According to the Bulwark, two unnamed former DHS officials who served under both Biden and Trump administrations and are still plugged in with current staff say Trump is indeed considering moving on from Noem, potentially really soon. A third ex-DHS official, who also served under Biden and Trump, described the situation as fluid. According to the report, Trump personally likes Noem, but that White House officials have been frustrated with her leadership, specifically her employment of Chief Advisor Corey Lewandowski, who I believe she's, doing. She's also a complete and total buffoon. Of course, that's not disqualifying in the Trump administration. I mean, when the president himself is a fucking clown. I mean, really, isn't he the definition of a clown? The ridiculous hair, the fucking orange makeup. All he needs is the big floppy shoes, and I think he's pretty much a clown. Anyway, being a buffoon, being a clown, being an incompetent fool is not disqualifying in the Trump administration. It's a resume enhancer. It's a qualification. It's a requirement for the job. So I don't really know what explains. I mean, Kristi Noem kisses his ass as much as anybody else in the administration. Remember that cabinet meeting the other day? She was just kissing his ass profusely, including crediting Trump for the fact that there were no major hurricanes this year. It's so friggin' absurd. Anyway, according to this reporting, he's considering replacing her with soon-to-be former Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin. But we'll see. I mean, this guy changes his mind, as if it were a bodily function. So who the hell knows?
Donald Trump is losing his mind today as somebody he gave a pardon to is now telling him to pound sand. Now, if you missed it, Donald Trump gave a full pardon to former Democratic Congressman Henry Cuellar and his wife, and they were both indicted on bribery charges. And Donald Trump thought that that pardon would come with unconditional loyalty. Instead, the opposite happened, and Trump took to Truth Social in a ranting post where he closed with this. Only a short time after signing the pardon, Henry Cuellar announced that he will be running for Congress again as a Democrat. Such a lack of loyalty. Oh well, next time, no more Mr. Nice Guy. And that is just part of a very long post where Donald Trump rants and raves and is completely losing his mind. Donald Trump thought he'd give this guy a pardon and he would have a Democrat on his side talking about how corrupt President Biden was. Instead, he got somebody released who said, hey, thanks for the pardon, but we're done here. This is absolutely beautiful as Donald Trump has tried to use the pardon for his own benefit, and it backfired here.
I've always said that Donald Trump is a transactional human being. If he does something, he expects something back every fucking time. Now, last week, Donald Trump decided to pardon Henry Cuellar, a Democratic representative from Texas. He was indicted for taking bribes from foreign countries to the tune of $600,000 and money laundering. So Donald Trump last week pardons him. Everybody's wondering, what the fuck is going on? He's a Democrat. Why would Donald Trump ever do that? So Henry Cuellar gets pardoned. And just today he announces he's running for re-election because he was never kicked out of the Congress. He's going to run for re-election as a Democrat. Now Donald Trump is pissed because he figured that Cuellar got this solid from Donald Trump that when he ran for re-election, he would go as a Republican, or even maybe change to a Republican while he's currently in the House of Representatives. Henry Cuellar said, no, fuck that. I'm still a Democrat. I got off of being a crook. I'm a Democrat, and that's where I'm going to stay. See, Donald Trump was still trying to game the system. Oh, I can get another seat because I'll pardon Henry Cuellar, and then he'll be a Republican, and then we'll be winning bigger. No, Donnie, you got fucking played like you always got fucking played. Republicans want Henry Cuellar? Take that bribing motherfucker, that piece of shit. We don't care. All I hope is that Henry Cuellar gets primaried in this upcoming election and a better Democrat, a normal human being, beats his ass out. But again, Donald Trump wants something for everything he does. He's transactional. And once again, Donald Trump got fucking played.
Hello and good afternoon. In today's episode of As the White Hood Turns, listen. Have y'all heard that they're putting up signage all around the White Hood? Have y'all heard that? So apparently they are now putting up gold signage all over to indicate a specific room or area. For example, they have put up signage directly outside the Oval Office that says the Oval Office. And then that there are other signs and placards all around. And why would they do that, you ask? Because that bitch got Alzheimer's. He's demented. Let me tell you why I know. Growing up, my mother had several businesses, right? She owned Hemford Grove Home for the Aged. And at 12, I was the kitchen assistant. I was the administrative assistant. I was housekeeping. I was food service. I did it all, right? Jan and Bill made sure I stayed busy, okay? But one of the things that I can tell you 100% is true. They would put signs on various things so that the people would know where they were. For example, there was a sign on the door that said TV room. There was a sign that said dining room. There was a sign that said Muriel's bedroom, Jesse's bedroom. So they would know where they were. He ain't never beaten these allegations, y'all. He is not beating these allegations. And he was talking about he wanted Jill Biden arrested for elder abuse. Well, I'ma need Melania and everybody in that cabinet and in and around. They need to be arrested for elder abuse, child abuse, and animal cruelty. All I'm saying is he ain't beating these allegations. Not never. Okay. On that note, it's Sunday football. So I'll catch y'all after all the games. Okay, bye.
MAGA Mike Johnson, the Republican Speaker of the House, is terrified, and he is showing how terrified he is publicly. He is begging other MAGA Republicans to stop criticizing him and expressing their concerns about him publicly. He says it's creating a lot of problems for him, and just can people please keep it quiet. MAGA Mike Johnson is terrified that he is going to lose his job potentially before the midterms, because this week we saw a massive MAGA revolt against MAGA Mike Johnson. Everybody from MAGA Republican Congresswoman Elise Stefanik to MAGA Republican Congresswoman Nancy Mace, from Republican Thomas Massey to Troy Nehls announcing his resignation, to MAGA Republican Marjorie Taylor Greene going on 60 Minutes to talk about MAGA Mike and Donald Trump betraying the MAGA movement. MAGA Mike is seeing the walls close in on him, and MAGA Mike doesn't know what to do. So let me show you what went down, because MAGA Mike runs to state regime media on Fox and begs them for help. Please give me a propaganda platform, MAGA Mike says, and I'm going to show you what just took place on state regime media. Before I do that, I just want to remind you, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. As you know, state regime media, which calls itself Fox, has been attacking us this week. Donald Trump has been attacking us this week, and you know Trump's cult MAGA followers continue to attack us and give us death threats. And so the more you can help, the better. And the best way you can help is by subscribing to our YouTube channel. You may think you're subscribed, but you may not actually be subscribed. So double check and hit that subscribe button right now. As I said, MAGA Mike Johnson runs to state regime media, which calls itself Fox. And MAGA Mike's like, look. We all know that this Congress was the most productive in the history of Congress. Here, I guess some credit for being the biggest sociopath ever. If you're going to go full sociopath, being like number 1 or 2, I guess in the Sociopath Hall of Fame is something that I guess sociopaths won credit for. All I know is that, what are you talking about, MAGA Mike, right? I mean, this was the least productive Congress ever, just in terms of the legislation that was not passed, the fact that there was a government shutdown to cover up a child sex trafficking ring. You shut down the government to cover up a child sex trafficking, which you're actively trying to still cover up. And then you said that the powerful men in the Epstein files are new victims and that you're afraid of creating a new class of victims. You're a sicko, MAGA Mike. And you would go around with Donald at the UFC fights and think that you're a tough guy. You just looked like a pathetic damn weasel, MAGA Mike, is what you looked like. But then MAGA Mike's like, but I was working 18-hour days. When? During the government shutdown, you were working 18-hour.
Okay, America, I have something to say. I get people in my DMs like, okay, what do we do about this government? How do we stop them? I want you to understand, our congressmen and women right now can stop him. They're choosing not to. What do you mean, Desiree? Yes, my name is Desiree Walker. I am a creator on here, and I choose to do politics. I'm everything's mommy. I come on here, I teach you guys about cooking. I have no niche, and I'm unapologetic about that because I feel like the world has no niche. The world throws 1,000 million things at us, and we better be ready. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Okay, we have a House of Representatives. What does representatives mean? Representatives mean these congressmen and women get elected in our districts to go to the House, that means the White House, and represent us, we the people. We the people vote them in or out. Congress right now is ran by Republicans because they have a majority in the House of Representatives. Okay, so they are allowing Donald Trump to do the things he's doing. They could stop him. They could vote against him. They could veto him. They could impeach him. But they don't want to. Why, you ask? Good question. You want to know why? Because they are getting rich. They're not scared of Donald Trump. They are not. Donald Trump is falling asleep somewhere. His cankles are bigger than my neck. His ankles are bigger than the average neck. Okay, and an ankle should be like a wrist. No, they are not afraid of him. He's a proxy. He's a Ponzi. He's a propped up fake. They like the delusion of it all because it's just a distraction. They are giving their friends government contracts. Meanwhile, while no one's manning the House and no one's able to say anything, they're giving government contracts to their friends, to their family, to themselves. They're hiring their friends. They're hiring their own law firms. Like Kristi Noem's. She gave a government contract to her lawyer friend's firm that now they wrote a $230 million government contract paid by who? Us, the taxpayer. So there's a lot we can do. It's called vote them out. They represent us. I want to let you know something right now. Putin of Russia has a Senate and a House of Representatives, Congress, and they're lame. They're the same, doing the same playbook that our congressmen and women are doing. Nothing. Democrats can't do anything right now. They're voting against this. They are not in control of the House. Now, when we get back in control of the House, the first thing we need to do is write new laws and get them passed. That these people, don't you know our forefathers knew there was going to be a Donald Trump that was going to come along and try to destroy our Constitution? They knew it. But they also put a Senate and a Congress in place to stop a rogue, disgusting, vile criminal president. And that is what our congressmen and women on the Republican side who are in charge of the House and the Senate are not doing. People, we've got to do our job. And our job is to vote them out.
On federal bribery, money laundering, and foreign influence charges. And then Donald Trump pardoned him, ending the case. Johnson was blindsided by this pardon, and here's the problem here. The Republican majority in Congress is very slim, and there was actually a high chance they could have found a candidate to beat Henry Cuellar. Cuellar is rather corrupt, obviously. Democrats can be corrupt, not to the extent of Trump, but this guy was corrupt, and he was being investigated for that. Now, Republicans actually could have knocked Cuellar out and beat him. But Donald Trump then took the gamble, wait a minute, if I pardon Cuellar, he'll just switch to a Republican, and we don't have to expend any resources on a race in his district. Wow, it's going to work out so well. Well, not so fast. President Trump didn't even tell Speaker Mike Johnson that he was granting a full and unconditional pardon to Representative Henry Cuellar before announcing it on Truth Social, Johnson told Axios. Trump's pardon boosts one of the House Republicans' top political targets and could hamper GOP efforts to protect their razor-thin majority in next year's midterms. Honestly, some bad political instincts from Trump here. I think there are moments you can point to where his political instincts have helped him, like after the assassination attempt in Butler when he stood up and raised his fist. A lot of people were saying that was his instincts allowing for a good photo. I'm not someone to praise Trump. This is not praise. I'm just saying that is a good moment. This right here and what we've seen over the past 10 months are all objectively bad moments, both for the American people and for Donald Trump. Well, I guess this is good for the American people because, number one, it helps Democrats in the midterms, but it's bad because it's open, blatant corruption against someone who, helping someone who hurt Americans. Asked if he was surprised by Trump's pardon, Johnson said, I think he had talked about that since last spring. It wouldn't be a surprise to anyone, but it was surprising. He pardoned a Democrat because he was taking the gamble that this Democrat would come over, but now look how mad he is in this Truth Social post. He's essentially saying that he didn't get what he asked for. He didn't get what he was promised, and that there's no quote-unquote loyalty. By the way, make sure you drop a like and subscribe. The Adam Mockler feed is rapidly growing, and it's because of you all. I appreciate every single one of you. So Donald Trump posted this. It's going to be a mouthful. He said, can you imagine the Democrats under the crooked Joe Biden administration, who always use extreme force and jail time to destroy their political opponent, wanted to put Congressman Henry Cuellar and his wife in prison for 15 years, which I predicted these radical left lunatics would do. Yeah, we all know Merrick Garland, Joe Biden's attorney general, who was a bulldog. No, Merrick Garland was somebody who moved like a turtle. That was all of our criticisms of him for the past 4 years. Under Biden, we were all like, Merrick, January 6th is bad. Do something about it. And it took him like 2 years to do something about it. To continue, The Dems mercilessly went after Henry with everything they had. Dude, we gave him due process and a lawyer. And when you say the Democrats, you mean the justice.
Well, 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 it's Sunday. This is going to be a real simple video, baby. It's about Daddy Dumpy Pants' executive order to overturn birthright citizenship in SCOTUS to hear said case, dear. It's real simple. I've heard people say for over a year that we're in a constitutional crisis. We are today, because nowhere does it say that the president has the power through executive order to overturn the Constitution. There's a whole lot of power that's given to the president through executive order, except for overturning the Constitution. Well, now he's wrote in an executive order to overturn the Constitution by doing away with birthright citizenship today. And I don't want to argue with you red hats about how dumb all of that might be, because they've convinced you that that constitutional right was only supposed to be for the children of slaves. Whatever. Fuck off today. You go sit in your fucking corner and circle jerk yourself to the red meat that he throws in your face. We ain't got time to deal with your dumb ass today. Just shoot, get the fuck on out of here. Get on out of here. I don't even want you on this video. I don't want to enlighten you as to how this particular play is going to come back to bite you in a future fucking day. Unless you want to know how you're going to lose your Second Amendment rights, dear. Did that grab your attention? Yes, if we allow the President of the United States to overturn the Constitution with nothing more than an executive order, what is to stop them from taking away your Second Amendment right today? Nothing, honey. Nothing at all. You see, the only way you can reach some of these red hats is when it's on their front door. There's a reason we don't allow a president through executive order to overturn our Constitution, because no one man in this land should have that kind of authority. How would you feel today if this play was on Biden's plate? Yes, Red Hat, let's pretend for just a minute, shall we, that Biden signs an executive order to undo one of your rights in the Constitution, boo. Like number 2. How you feel about that? Oh, but you're telling me that that's not possible because a president can't take away your rights that are guaranteed to you in the Constitution with nothing more than an executive order, but you're okay when the orange whore tries to do that. See, once you open Pandora's box, what is good for the goose is good for the gander. And that orange man and his regime will not forever be in power, baby. But once we set the president can undo our Constitution with nothing more than an executive order, well, there goes that door. Boom! Blown right off the house, dear. Floodgates open. No more Constitution around here. Yes, baby. That's how that works. That's how that works. Owning the libs? No, baby. Y'all aren't owning the libs today. You are MAGA slaves. And Daddy owns you. He has convinced you. He has convinced you to undo all the laws of this country, to undo the order of hierarchy in this country, to get what you want without telling you, baby, that once he opens that door, he can take everything from you. And you let him do it. Authoritarian regimes do not want their people out here with pew-pews in the street. What's to stop Daddy Dumpy Pants from writing an executive order to do away with Amendment number 2 because there's just too much violence out in these streets? Look, National Guardsmen are being shot down, baby. We gotta control this expeditiously. Never occurred to you. What about the flip-flopper king himself, J.D.? He's had more names than Elizabeth Taylor's had husbands, honey. The original never Trumper. The original one to come out and call Daddy Shitler. JD's a poser. JD will pretend to be anybody he needs to. JD's controlled by money, boo. What's to stop JD from flipping and flopping again? That never fucking occurred to you? It occurred to your orange friend That's right. Most people don't know this, dear, but Daddy Dumpy Pants is in fear of JD. Every fucking day, he is scared that JD's going to remove him, dear. Every day, he's in fear that JD is going to undo everything that he had done. Every single day. Because JD will be anybody JD needs to be, depending on who is handing him money. Kind of like Daddy, too. Right? That's why we're in bed with terrorists today. Right? Because Daddy's okay with playing with anybody with enough money in their hand, honey. No, we are now in a constitutional crisis. If the Supreme Court gives Daddy Dumpy Pants the authority to undo our Constitution with nothing more than an executive order, whoo. You see, the libs are going to make it through this, honey. I'm not sure about the red hats. But us liberals, we will make it through this. We're going to make it through just fine. And one day we'll be in power again. And if y'all allow your orange friend to undo our Constitution, y'all going to learn about tolerance in a future day. And how we don't have any coming your way. Without that Constitution there to protect you and your fucking pew-pew, I'm just saying, baby, you motherfuckers will cut your nose off to spite your face and think that you're going to be able to fucking breathe and smell some shit on a future day. Oh, baby. But yes, be prepared. Be prepared for the Supreme Court to give this fool that kind of authority. And be prepared for the authoritarian regime to come after your pew-pew and your other rights, too. They're already stockpiling excuses to do such about violence. Right? Right.